Welcome back to Rogue Mystic Divination. I am changing things up just to see how it is that I can actually get everything that I want to up and actually do it on time for you guys. And I know that this is on the 10th and this is the beginning of the week, but it's the beginning of the channel and I know it's been around for about a year now. Or coming up on a year. But I do want to see what it is I can do to keep getting more subscribers and more views. So my last video literally made 14 impressions and like 0 views. Now I understand that's not necessarily content that everybody wants to see because it was the Knight's exposition, just talking about some of the symbology and how they land, and it really probably could have been more cohesive, but I felt that it could have gotten more play on the algorithm. But anyway, this is going to be the weekly for the collective, and I'm going to do 3 for the week, and I will be doing one of these for each and every sign, including Ophiuchus, so you guys are still in there, and you'll actually be the next one that I put up. But we will have 3 cards for the week, and we will keep those up, even if they're out of frame, and see how it is that they relate to the card that I pull for each and every single day. And then I'll do 3 cards for the weekend, which is going to be the 14th, 15th, and 16th, to see what energy is going to carry you throughout or through into next week. And of course, the tarot disclaimer. Take what works, leave what doesn't for somebody else. Not every message is for everybody, so here we go. We've got for the main energy of the week, it's going to be the Fool, so new beginnings, trusting your feet, but try not to be blind to where it is that you're going. It doesn't mean that your practical grounded side is going to take you where it is that you need to go, but you do need to try to focus all of the elements of you into a cohesive direction. You do have the potential to start growing something and plant seeds, whether it's a new venture, a new job, a new business, a new connection. Not so much a connection with another person, because the Fool is on his own or her own, however you want to see that figure, because it could really go either way. It's not about connecting to another whole universe in somebody else. It's about connecting to the universe in you and how it plays against the different elements that you deal with in daily life, which is why you have the companion there, the little white dog. So don't be afraid to actually look for the signs that are pointing you in a certain direction, and it may be a good time to start listening to them more intently, because there could be something that's been telling you that this is not for you, this is not the direction you need to go. And one of the main helpers this week that you could have is exhibiting the element or the traits of the Hermit, and staying to yourself and actually paying attention to what your body and your own mind, your unconscious thoughts are trying to tell you. These are being affected by where you've come from, and it may be very important for you right now to see where it is that you came from, how you worked through those problems, and how you started those journeys, and why they either passed or failed for you on your whatever it is that your intent was, and whether you actually learned something from it, or if maybe you missed a step, you missed a lesson. Now with the Four of Swords in reverse, it's like the idea is being lost. There's something that you were trying to uphold at one point, but upholding these ideas, they may not have even been yours. And thinking about it, you understand why things weren't working out. If you feel as though you're restless and stressed out, it could be because you've been boxed into a situation where you had to make certain decisions and there was no true choice in the matter of what you did or what happened, because things had no way to go but the way that they did. So please keep that in mind this week whenever we pull the individual day cards. Pictorially, this really does tell a story of where you started out as the fool, and maybe now is the time that you look back and see what happened whenever you started out with those new beginnings, with that blind faith, with that optimism and trust in yourself, and that events were going to get you somewhere, and see where it is that they failed, where they didn't work out, and where you didn't really have a choice in the in what you did, or you didn't really have a choice in the events and how they played out. And now we are on to the 10th. For the 10th, we have got the devil. So the devil is in the details. Now, whether this is someone overseeing a connection, there could be big influence today of someone who is deciding that they know what's right and what's wrong, and trying to force something to look a certain way or act a certain way. This could be you. This could be someone that you have that you have to interact with on a daily basis, or it could just be a brief encounter. It doesn't have to have anything to do with an intimate relationship, and it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't feel like it's a romantic connection. I don't think that's really going to be the focus for anybody this week right now, at least for the collective reading. It could just be that on Monday we all get tempted by an idea that sounds like a good idea, but in attaching our, well, no but anyway, we may find that we are attaching ourselves to something on Monday that we know is not good for us, or could be restricting us from the ability to handle something the way that we need to. Even though the devil is sitting here focused on materialism and a deep physical connection, not a deep spiritual connection, I still see him as the alchemical, as above kind of character, as the Baphomet. So while you're investing in these connections on Monday, it seems as though you're trying to make magic work. You're trying to make the spiritual, the invisible connections work for you, but it may end up just leading you into a position where you're codependent on something else and too reliant on it. So that is definitely something to look out for. And while this may seem like an indulgence, really it's just kind of setting yourself up with a bill to pay that you think is going to be worth it right now, but later on it will not be worth it. There's going to be a hidden cost that you didn't think was going to be associated with it, or that you were going to be able to pay it off, and then something else happens. Most likely it feels like Thursday or Friday to me, so we'll see what the cards say, but And these could be unconscious attachments too. There could be something that you're just fall into and think that's only going to be for a moment, but then it ends up being more of a job than you thought was going to be. It's going to be a contract position for a long length of time rather than an intermittent one or just a day job. Someone who's like, yeah, I'll help them out, no problem for today. And then you find that this person's leaning on you too much. Like they think you're going to be a permanent fixture in their life, and that was not your intention. And now for Tuesday. And that double really does line up with the Fool for the first card of the week. Because it's something that you're starting, something that you're getting involved with maybe a little bit too deeply, but later on you're going to be trying to figure out how this got started because of the Hermit there in the center. But it does look like you will be at some point reasserting your independence and trying to not necessarily backpedal, but just feels like it's going to be a long week overall. For the 11th, the Hanged Man. Okay, so with some of these decisions that we make on Monday, I could see where the Hanged Man makes sense, especially in the upright. You thought you were doing something to progress something, and you thought something was going to probably give you something that just isn't coming up. You may have to surrender to the process and be willing to let something go that was going to be a new beginning. Transitioning to see things from a different view is going to benefit you in the long run because you'll see the value in the small sacrifice of time and energy and a smaller disappointment than if things would have kept going the way that you were hoping they were going to go. You could have ended up losing more. For the 12th. Some of your plans, some of what you thought was going to work out easily is not going to actually work out. And some of these tools that you put into action for you this week could actually be backfiring and benefiting somebody else. Really, this looks like you putting the work in and helping somebody else, thinking that it's going to make you look good either at work or at life, and karma's going to shine on you and you're going to get the promotion because you're taking the steps to look like a leader and exhibit those traits and not looking for an immediate payout, but just looking for results. Those results are going to end up falling on somebody else. I read that narcissism as nepotism whenever I was just looking at this. So it's almost as though you're training somebody to take a position that you were hoping to get promoted for, and you don't know it. You thought you were just doing team things and helping people out, get through their day and make things easier on your boss, and you were making them easier on your boss and on this other person, because it's likely that you're going to continue to clean up after this person, because even after what is that? Wednesday, they still don't know what they're doing. They're going to need additional training, additional assistance, because they got an idea from working with you or by being in this position, and it's almost as though this person has been hired in at a higher position than you, but since they don't know anything about the business at all and they've never worked in this kind of environment, it's been suggested to them that they train under someone that's in a lower position, like entry level, to see what it is that those people have to deal with and the entirety of what their job is, in order to understand how to assist and help. And yeah, that never ends up working out. It doesn't feel like an undercover boss situation. It just seems like it's someone that's hired into a position. They don't know what they're doing, and they have not been informed, just told that, oh, well, it's easy. Just go in and you do this, and this person will show you the ropes, and you'll be fine. I'll see you at the end of the day. And then you come in a week and a half, 2 weeks later, and they're suddenly sitting, hosting meetings and telling people what their jobs are and how they could improve things. And it's like you were there for 5 seconds, and you were there on an easy day. You weren't there on a hard day. How dare you sit there and think that you actually have any idea what's going on here? But there could be a dangerous narcissist behind this that could be trying to hold something over you, because this card is upside down. So all of the tools of the trade are upside down, and it does seem as though there's resources there, but it's going to be a question of whether or not it's going to be worth it to hang on to. Or if they're just going to be held just out of reach, or the promises are never going to be fulfilled. Things like that. So, and now for the 13th. For the 13th of February. We've got the Page of Cups Collective in reverse. Yeah, and this is just kind of a reinforcing what I just said about reinforcing everything that I said for Wednesday. There is someone who doesn't know what they're doing, that they may be coming in like raw emotionally, and they don't have that barrier up yet. And because of that, they're just as likely to emotionally get in your face about something, is what I'm getting, because that fish is about to jump out of the cup and into the page's face. And I just kind of got the image of, well, I hope that fish in that cup is a bony carp, because those suckers hurt whenever they hit. But it does seem as though that this is a disappointment that you're going to almost be foreseeing, and understanding that I don't want you to feel as though you're at fault for being disappointed over something not working out the way that you hoped it would, because it's not your fault. If you put time and energy into something and you hope to get something out of it, it's understandable that you're disappointed whenever it doesn't work out the way you hoped. Keep in mind that this is a lesson as to how much you should maybe be putting into somebody else, or what your expectations should be. rather than what they typically are. And keep in mind that whenever people are working, they are working for themselves, whether it seems as though they're trying to be assistive or helpful. And the same goes for negative actions too. If they're trying to trip you up or say you do things wrong, or and this might be that person coming in and saying that, well, that's not how they do it on the floor. That's not how they do it whenever they're actually doing the job. They cut these corners. They misfile this paperwork. They say this about this person. They say, XYZ about that person. They didn't inform me about this, and I should have been, and things like that. So this could be someone trying to throw something in your face, and as though it's something negative, but it's not going to come off that, like it's something negative that you do, or that we as a collective do, but in reality, it's just going to make them look like a fool. In a bad way. Not in the way that starting something new, it's like, oh, well, they were told to go in there and get informed and understand the different levels of position and in all of this, and they have failed to grasp the reality of it. And if there is someone that's far removed, but that does have more experience in the kind of environment that you're in, but not necessarily the one that you're currently in, they could be saying that, well, I understand how that works, and I understand why they do things that way. And doing them that way, I can see why it would be fallible. So the logic does not compute, and this other person, is over here actually stepping up and agreeing. I'm not sure I would read a lot into that, though. But you're not going to be entirely alone in calling this person out on being uninformed or illogical about something. And now on to Friday the 14th. Page of Wands in the or King of Wands in the reverse. So this may be someone who is in a higher position and is trying to act like they're in the higher position, but that's all they're doing is acting. Because I did see that as the Page of Wands first, but it is the King of Wands. This could also be someone who is picky with their dick. They're holding on to an idea that things work a certain way, and while they're doing this, they're also, and trying to enable something or trying to fix something, they're actually handicapping themselves, and handicapping and limiting the success that this can actually have. They could be trying to play catch up to get to a certain goal, but it's not going to work out for them that well. As it's Friday, and this could be a day where you're playing catch up, or they are playing catch up and trying to make it look like somebody else's fault. I would definitely say just go in. If this is a job, go in and do what it is that you can do, but remember there's boundaries between home life and work life, and even though people don't want to act like there is, and it may be, I'm not going to say necessary, but it may be assistive for you to not put somebody in their place, but be incredibly practical and say that you being here in the middle of everything, doing nothing but getting in our way, is not helping get us to our goal. So If you're going to be here, could you at least stay out of the way and let us do our jobs? Because that's what we're here to do. This could be, if this is a relationship too, there could be someone who's trying to take the controlling interest of what's going on in the relationship and what you're doing. So if that's the case, do not allow someone to ride roughshod over you and tell you what to do. If this relationship is going in a way that you don't want it to go in, then whether it's an intimate relationship, or if it's an intimate romantic relationship, or if it's a business relationship, a family relationship, I want to really reiterate that each person in and of themselves is their own universe and have their own elements of things that influence you and that repulse you, and goals that you're working towards, conscious and subconscious. So act like it. And if you don't align with this other person, then step away and let them set themselves on fire, because it seems like this person is about to combust. And for the 15th. For the 15th of February. The Ace of Swords in the reverse. So this is going to be Saturday, but you could find out that whatever situation that you left during the standard week, the Monday through Friday, you could find that there's a bunch of chaos and confusion that's been brought about by everybody's actions. And you may be called upon to set things right or see exactly what happened when, and they may end up bringing up video footage of what was going on. So it could be somebody coming in and asking you for clarity on what exactly is going on here. Do not allow the chaos to rule your personality. It seems like it could be tempting to allow, but that's not what you need to do at this time. So since this is coming in on Saturday, if this isn't a typical action, it's almost as though you have to kind of expect for someone to come in the coming week to ask you for clarity, but I'll try and get in on that whenever we do the weekend portion of this. But this could just be you coming to the realization of, I know this is going to happen. I need to get my story straight. I need to make sure that I'm correct and that I'm standing accountable for anything that I may have done. So now we're going on to the 16th. For the 16th of February, we've got the Nine of Cups. There could be an opportunity coming in that allows you to step away from all of the chaos of whatever happened this week, and you're going to get an answer that you've been looking for. You're going to be, which is pretty different to to everything else. If we look at the rest of the days of the week, and how I was talking about things coming into conclusion with the Four of Swords in reverse, if there was someone that was trying to exemplify the position of the King of Wands in reverse over here, and it kind of threw everything into a tizzy, which is why the Ace of Swords came out in reverse. Like, all this chaos is coming to a tipping point. Where things just fall apart, and they either fall apart to correct themselves or to ascend it onto a path of change. It looks like the path of change is going to be where things are going. But as an overview for kind of the week to see how we get to the Nine of Cups, it looks like Monday we've got some kind of connection that's not going to be worth it in the long run, that's costing you too much, and investing in it is going to put you into the hangman position, which is going to force you to change your perspective. But whenever you are confronted with this, it could be difficult for you to change perspective because you have something that you're getting out of this situation. You have the tools, but you're not getting the education that you need on how to utilize these tools, or you're not in a position to be able to do so. The ghost of an opportunity could be hanging over your head, and someone could be trying to insinuate that, well, if you just hold out a little bit longer, if you just do this for me, it'll be worth it in the end. But in reality, you come to the conclusion that things start to fall apart, with the Page of Cups being put into position that they most likely don't deserve, and this decision is going to be one that comes back to slap somebody in the face. It's going to be even more exemplified whenever the King of Wands gets involved, because he's in reverse. He may know what he's doing, but he's acting out of reaction rather than acting out of knowing. He may be trying to get something done, but he's doing the wrong thing. He's getting the wrong thing done, and he could be destroying something in the process. Driving everything into chaos, and whenever he's destroying things in the process, he's not aware of it because he's getting the results that he's looking for, and he may not be caring too much about what results are actually needed in the situation. So keep an eye out for that, whether it's a personal relationship or a work relationship, a boss, a boyfriend, a parent. It doesn't matter where they're at in your life. This person could be male or female too. Someone just acting on things without regard to the consequence or the acknowledgement of how it's affecting something else. And because it's into a little bit of chaos, it's going to be made very obvious that someone's judgment is clouded. It doesn't have to be the collective that's reading this. It could be somebody else involved. But if that's the case, please keep in mind about what's actually going on, not what people want you to think this week. After all of this mess comes out, you may have to be the voice of clarity and actually show examples of what happened and what your part may have been in them. You are going to be able to be grateful for something at the end of this week on Sunday, the 16th. Something is coming to it doesn't even feel like it's a conclusion. It seems as though something is being rectified, but still going to take more work over the coming weeks. But it does seem as though you're going to be satisfied with the outcome of your actions, at least, and you've done what you needed to do. So it doesn't have to be a monetary wish or an emotional wish that somebody gets back in contact with you. This is mostly just you coming to the conclusion that you're satisfied with your actions and you did the right thing. As far as you're concerned, you did what you were supposed to do, you did what you needed to do, and nobody can fail you for doing what, as far as you knew, needed to be done. Now, for the weekend, and this is going to encompass the 14th, 15th, and the 16th. And that makes a lot more sense. This isn't a card per day. This is just collective energy for the weekend. So whatever this chaos ended up being, you're going to end up being able to celebrate something for yourself this weekend. And that's why we get to the Nine of Cups. It could be because of good fortune is shining on you. Whether it's everyone finally coming to a conclusion of finally getting onto the same page. Some portal is going to be walked through, but you may need to just step back and decide that your input does not need to be, your voice is not the one that needs to be heard right now. And then it's doubled down whenever we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. Yeah, it seems as though for the collective, it's going to be better off if once Friday hits, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, take yourself out of the conflict with others. If you're not being paid to deal with it, don't deal with it. It does look like you're going to have a pretty good reset, though, emotionally and mentally for mental clarity. And it could be just seeing somebody else's inability or refusal to pay attention, refusal to communicate clearly. That's coming into focus, and you're not the only one that's noticing. Because it does seem as though there's other people that are standing there that are used to this, and they've gotten to the point where it's just water off of a duck's back. And they're not afraid to stand there and say, matter-of-factly, XYZ is true. A, B, C, D is incorrect. This is what should have been done. This is what was not done. This is what we need to do, and then just go on about it. There is somebody else that's still trying to throw frustration. They're not even trying to throw frustration into the mix. They just seem to be embodying that. While they're trying to meet goals, it's like they're not. They came in trying to say that everyone was goalless and no one knew what they were doing and no one does what they're supposed to be doing, and that's why we're not meeting this, and this is why this isn't being met. But they weren't looking at what was being done and why it was being done. It's likely that it was being done to play catch up for something else, for another mistake, for something that was out of everybody's control, and that's why things have been working this way. They are uninformed, and at some point it seems as though they may become informed as to the reality of the situation and then fall in line, and if they don't, then they will be looking for something else, somewhere else. And they may just kind of la-di-da without really saying anything. So don't be surprised if someone just kind of disappears like a puff of smoke. So now, just because these other people, these water off a duck's back people are in the mix, does not mean that they are on their side. So I wouldn't put too much focus, too much trust in them, but trust that they will stand there and defend what they think is right, what for them they know is right, and that's their priority. And there may be something for you to learn from how it is that you see them handling this chaos, because it really seemed like that Ace of Swords in reverse was just like sticking the knife in and twisting it. And this other person is just coming in like, yeah, this is how we handle that, and we don't do it like that. And very matter-of-factly, very deadpan, and even though this person may seem as though they are not cooperative or doing things the way that that maybe need to be done, or interacting in people in a way that is most appealing. It doesn't mean they're not doing what needs to be done. Because they really are coming off as someone that's like, I'm not getting paid to do that, so I'm not going to bother with it. If someone else thinks that they're getting paid to do that, then they can do that, but I know I'm not, so. But that is going to be it for the collective reading this week. I am going to do my best to have each day time-stamped, along with the weekend and the etc. But please check in to see if I have the other signs up for the week. And I'm going to try and do them all in this kind of a style. So thank you for tuning in. Check your dailies, weeklies, and month or sun, moon, and rising. Because, yeah, dailies and weekly is kind of all in this. But you guys have a fantastic week, and I will see you next time.